Chapter 10. Escape and Ruin. One fine morning, Rat went upstairs to relieve Badger. "Toad's still in bed," he told the rat outside the door. "Now you look out. When Toad's quiet and cooperative, there's sure to be something up. I know him." "How are you today, old chap?" inquired the rat cheerfully as he approached Toad's bedside. After a few minutes, a feeble voice replied, "Thank you so much, dear Ratty. But first, how are you yourself and the excellent Mole?" "Oh, we're all right," replied the rat. "Mole is going out for a run around with Badger. So you and I will spend a pleasant morning together. Don't lie there moping on a fine morning like this." "Dear, kind rat," murmured Toad, "how little you understand me. I hate being a burden to my friends, but I do not expect to be one much longer." "Well, I hope not too," said the rat heartily. "You've been a real bother, but I'd take any trouble on earth for you if only you'd be a more sensible animal." "If this is true," murmured Toad more feebly than ever, "then I must beg you to step around to the village, even if it may be too late, and fetch the doctor." "Why, what do you want the doctor for?" inquired the rat, coming closer and examining him. Toad's voice was weaker, and his manner was very different. "Surely you have noticed lately," murmured Toad. "We must act quickly. Tomorrow, indeed, you may be saying to yourself, 'Oh, if only I had noticed sooner. If only I had done something.'" "Look here, old friend," said the rat, beginning to get rather alarmed. "Of course I'll fetch a doctor, but you can hardly be bad enough for that yet. Let's talk about something else." "I fear, dear rat," said Toad with a sad smile, "that talk can do little in a case like this, or doctors either, for that matter. And by the way, while you're about it, would you mind asking the lawyer to stop by?" "A lawyer? Oh, he must be really bad," the scared rat said to himself. He hurried from the room, not forgetting, however, to lock the door behind him. The Toad hopped lightly out of bed as soon as he heard the key turn in the lock, and watched Rat eagerly from the window till he disappeared down the drive. Then he dressed as quickly as possible in his smartest suit he could lay hands on, and filled his pockets with cash. Next, knotting the sheets together and tying one end around the frame of the window, he scrambled out and slid lightly to the ground. Taking the opposite direction to the rat, Toad marched off light-heartedly, whistling a merry tune. Later, it was a gloomy lunch for Rat when he had to face Badger and the Mole. Meanwhile, Toad was walking briskly along the road some miles from home. Feeling safe and the sun smiling brightly on him, he almost danced along the road in satisfaction. "Smart piece of work," he remarked to himself, chuckling. "Poor old Ratty, won't he get in trouble when Badger gets back? A worthy fellow, Ratty, with many good qualities, but very little intelligence." Filled full of mean thoughts such as these, he walked along, his head in the air, till he reached a little inn on the edge of town. The sign of the Red Lion reminded him that he was very hungry after his long walk. He marched into the inn, ordered the best lunch that could be provided, and sat down to eat it. He was about halfway through his meal when a familiar sound made him start trembling all over. The poop poop sound drew nearer and nearer. The car could be heard to turn into the yard and come to the stop, and Toad had to hold on to the leg of the table to keep from jumping with excitement. Soon the party entered the room, hungry and talkative. Toad could stand it no longer. He slipped out of the room quietly, and as soon as he got outside, walked around quietly to the yard. "There cannot be any harm," he said to himself, "in only just looking at it." The car stood in the middle of the yard. Toad walked slowly around it. The next moment, hardly knowing how it came about, he found he had hold of the door handle and was turning it. As if in a dream, he found himself seated in the driver's seat. As if in a dream, he swung the car round the yard. As if in a dream, all sense of right and wrong seemed suspended. As the car devoured the street and leaped forth on the high road through the open country, all he knew was that he was Toad once more, Toad the Terror.